Hi there, my name is Jules, otherwise known as Julini Nasser. Welcome to this workshop. I'm going to be talking about how to boost your family's immune system this winter. At the time of this recording, it's November and I'm in the UK, so winter is definitely coming upon us. And what I'm seeing all around me, not just in my workplace, but also in my daughter's schools, I work with parents of children with disabilities, and I hear them, their concerns about themselves picking up bugs or their children getting sick. And I also hear a lot of worries that as parents who are the main carers for a child with a disability, they're particularly worried about getting sick themselves, because if the parent's sick, there are two things. One is that they could pass on the germs to their child that they are looking after and that they are caring for. And secondly, that if they fall sick, they may fall really sick and then not be able to properly care or even be able to care for their child for a certain period of time. So I thought that I should do a workshop which explains a little bit more about how you can boost your own immune system, but also the immune system of the rest of your family, because there is a lot you can do to help your immune system be healthy, strong, robust, and responsive. Because let's face it, however much you try and use sanitizers and you clean surfaces that you're in contact with, and trying to reduce the germs, the viruses and bacteria from entering your house, or reducing contact with people to reduce exposure to these germs, that's not going to be entirely possible. So the reality is that there are more sick people in the winter, and these germs will travel around, and we're not going to be able to completely avoid them. So one of the things that's not talked about enough, I think, is the fact that you can actually improve the health of your immune system, so that if it does come across germs, it can fight them off effectively, so that either you don't feel or you don't get particularly sick, your children, the rest of your family don't get particularly sick, or if you do get sick, that you recover faster and you don't get you don't get seriously ill with the illness from whatever germs that you've been in contact with. So I'm just going to start my slides now. Here we go. So a little bit about me. My name is Jules. Well, it's Julini, but everyone calls me Jules. And I am a physiotherapist. I'm a pediatric physiotherapist. I've been a pediatric physiotherapist for 21 years. And I'm also a health coach and a qualified brain health coach. So in terms of my role, I actually have always been really interested in the brain and in neurology. So I'm a bit of a brain nerd, I have to admit it. But on the whole, what I've learned about the brain and the body is that you can't separate one from the other. So I take an integrative health model, which means that I see the body as a whole, how each different part of your body is integrated and connected to the other parts of your body, but also integrative in the sense that I see the benefits of what we call holistic medicine, or sort of complementary medicine model, but I also see the benefits of Western medicine. I'm not saying Western medicine is all bad, complementary or holistic medicine is all bad. I think there are really big positives to both, and that they can both help you and your family optimize your health. So just recording this right now, and I have pre-warned you about the recording. So just as a disclaimer, the contents of this workshop, as usual, are for information purposes. Please, it's not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment, and in no way does it intend to diagnose any health problems or illnesses. If you're concerned about your child having a medical health problem, contact the health professionals that you normally would use, okay? And please, do try some of the tips in this presentation, but if you do have any health concerns, don't delay seeking medical advice. Just to kind of like, I'll just try a bit more vitamin D. No, don't. If you have any health concerns, speak to your medical professional who normally works with you or your family. So I talked briefly about how to prevent illnesses. One is reducing the exposure to pathogens that cause infections. Pathogens is just a broad term that means viruses, bacteria. It could also mean mold and parasites as well. And the second bit of preventing illnesses is to improve our immune system's effectiveness of fighting off infections. So we neither want our immune system to be overactive, nor do we want it to be underactive. We want it to be effective and working at the right level, because an overactive immune system leads to autoimmunity, which is where your immune system is fighting your own body. An underactive immune system is an immune system that is slow to respond to viruses and bacteria and other germs, and therefore it's not effective, and therefore you're more likely to get ill if you have an underactive immune system. So we want an immune system that is effective and optimized. So I've put them into two categories. There are things you need to get rid of and things you need to add in. Things you need to get rid of are things that depress the immune system, which includes stress and toxins. And the things that you need to add in are things that strengthen the immune system. And this includes looking at your nutrition, how to optimize your nutrition, how to get quality sleep, because I've heard from so many parents and they can't get the good quantity sleep for lots of reasons, often relating to caring for their child in the night. And so there are still ways of increasing the quality of your sleep so that you get some restorative sleep, even if you can't get as much sleep as is normally recommended. You know, what's recommended is 7 to 8 hours sleep per night. And then there's exercise, and exercise has a lot of research to show that it can help strengthen the immune system. So first thing to get rid of is stress. Well, I say get rid of, but I know you can't get rid of stress. Nobody can get rid of stress. Stress is part of our lives. And the thing is, stress goes up and goes down. You have periods of time where stress is very, very high. So you've got this kind of short-term acute stress, or you've got this periods of time where stress is quite low and it's not affecting you. Then you can also have chronic long-term stress, which can be low level with periods of high level stress, but it never goes down to a level where you feel unstressed or you feel completely relaxed. So a lot of parents I work with, they have ongoing issues with long-term stress because of the additional responsibilities of caring with a child with a disability or special educational needs. Now, stress is a two-way thing. You do have external stresses, but the other thing you have to think about is that stress levels in your body are related to how you perceive stress. So how you perceive a situation, as in, oh my goodness, this thing happened. Oh my God, that is absolutely the worst thing that could happen. Oh my God, I really don't want that to happen. I really don't want that to happen. And you sort of freak out. But another parent might say, oh my goodness, okay, so they're going to need this operation. That's okay. I'm going to have a think about it. The date of the operation is not for another 6 weeks. We can start planning things. Let's be practical. Let's make a plan. And that person would be likely to be less stressed or feel less stressed. They can both, be experiencing the same stressor, but they'll be experiencing less stress. So what I was talking about there is mindset. So how you think about and perceive stress is very important to how your body then deals with stress, because how you mentally perceive stress then affects the levels of certain chemicals and certain hormones in your body that set off the stress response. So in particular, you have a hormone called cortisol. And when you're feeling stressed, cortisol is released in your body. It causes your heart rate to go up, causes your breathing rate to go up. It causes it reduces the amount of blood flow to the part of the brain that is involved in higher functioning thinking. So you're going to be more likely to respond and react on a more emotional basis. And this is why having a negative perception of stress can actually affect your body physically as well. So having a growth mindset that I mentioned here is all about feeling that things can be changed, that you have some control and things are not fixed. So there are two types of mindsets. We have the growth mindset and you have a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is the belief that things are as they are and out of your control. A growth mindset is someone who has approached that you are somewhat in control. You may not be in control of everything, but you are somewhat in control, and there are some things you can control and you will work on to improve or to change. So that's a growth mindset. And people with a growth mindset generally report low levels of stress. It's not that they're getting less stressors in their life, it's just that they feel less stressed because they're able to emotionally feel less stressed, mentally feel less stressed, and therefore they get reduced levels of cortisol, and so therefore reduce physical stress feelings. Meditation is the other M I mentioned here about healthy M&Ms, and the reason why meditation helps with stress is that it gives your brain a chance to stop, slow down, review the information that's coming at you and respond appropriately. So rather than being very reactive and responding in an emotional way, meditation helps you use more of the prefrontal cortex of your brain, the part of your brain that is what we call the executive controller of your brain, and therefore helps you make better decisions rather than decisions that are reactive. And one of the best ways of reducing stress is to do something called the physiological sigh. And the physiological sigh is basically a type of deep breathing that reduces the overactivity in your brain and just calms everything down. So the physiological sigh I'll show you is at the end, but it's basically we take a deep breath in, hold it, and then take a little sniff so you get a little bit more air in, and then you breathe out with a big sigh. So I'll just demonstrate it now. So you can I'm going to take a deep breath in and then sniff and that's a physiological sigh. And that has a lot of research to show that it actually reduces levels of cortisol and other signals of stress in the body. Now we have toxins. Toxins are unfortunately all around us. We can't avoid them, unfortunately. That's just how it is. Modern life is such that, we have toxins from all over the place. The good news is our bodies have detoxification systems, and within our bodies, we can actually deal with these toxins. Now, again, the bad news is the modern lifestyle does mean that actually our detoxification systems are under a lot of pressure because there's a lot of toxins coming at us. Because, I'm just going to talk a little bit about where these toxins are coming from. So you've got toxins, obviously, in food because of the use of pesticides, herbicides. In animal products, farms commonly give their animals antibiotics, give them hormones, and in terms of water, there's also toxins just floating around in our water. We also get toxins in the air from pollution, and also just thinking about indoor pollution as well as outdoor pollution. We have our air can be polluted with chemical products that we use to clean. It can be contaminated with mold. Mold is quite common in a lot of modern houses. With the dust that we bring in from outdoors. These are all the toxins inside our flats, inside our houses that also affect the quality of the air that we breathe. Toxins are also in the skin and makeup products that we use, and that's something to consider, how to reduce that, because what goes on your skin goes in your body. Our skin is not just a layer that sort of is on top of the rest of the body. Our skin is permeable and things can go through our skin into our blood system. So it's something to think about. And so just some simple tips how to reduce toxin exposure. And why we need to reduce toxin exposure is because if our detoxification systems are being kept busy having to deal with toxins, when we then get a virus or a bacteria, viruses and bacteria produce toxins. That's what they make us sick. And they also damage our cells. But then if our immune system and detoxification systems are already busy dealing with environmental toxins or toxins from the rest of from our food, then it means our immune system is not going to be working optimally because it's trying to get rid of or deal with the toxins that our body is exposed to. So what you need to do is try and eat less processed food, try and eat more organic food, because organic food is food that's produced without the use of man-made chemicals. Get yourself a water filter. It really is quite a simple thing to start with to reduce the toxins in the water, not completely, but to reduce it, to reduce your overall toxin load. With regards to skincare products, and this is particularly important for children whose skin is much more permeable, try and use more natural organic products that have less chemicals. So the way I see it, the way I try and see it is, if I look at the ingredient label and there are, things on the ingredient label that I would not be able to buy from the supermarket myself, or, I look at ingredient label and see something that's like, gosh, I can't even pronounce that, then I'm not getting that, because that's not the kind of thing I want my body to absorb, because my body is going to have to break it down and detoxify those chemicals. Now, some of these chemicals, yes, of course, they've been tested and they're shown to be safe, but what this testing doesn't do is test different chemicals used together. So, for example, in one shampoo, you may find that there are like 5 different chemicals. Now, each of one of those might have been tested to be safe to be used with people, on humans, but generally these the companies that produce these products, they don't test the combined effect of 3, 4, 5 chemicals. And if you've got, say, you've got your shampoo, you've got your conditioner, you've got your body wash, you've got your face wash, you've got your body moisturizer, and each of them has 3 to 5 chemical or sort of unnatural products, your body, you don't know how much it's affecting your body, because some of it's going to be absorbed into your body, and you don't really know what the combination of the chemicals is doing in terms of your body. So ideally try and reduce as much as you can the personal skincare products that contain chemicals. Okay, now air, just open your windows regularly. I know it's really hard in the winter and it's chilly and you're thinking about, energy efficiency, you don't want to lose too much heat, but opening the windows regularly, getting air circulating, even it's like twice a day. It's about getting the air circulating. So don't just open one window, open several windows, let the air circulate for 10, 20, 30 minutes, and then close your windows, and then do that again later in the day, if you can, twice a day, ideally if you can do it in the evening before going to bed, because that's kind of, you want the air that you're breathing overnight to have been kind of refreshed and cleansed a bit before you actually close everything in the winter and go to sleep. Now, if you are concerned, if you have someone in your family, if you yourself have asthma or some kind of chest or lung problem, you may want to consider buying a HEPA filter. HEPA filters are the only ones that have been shown to definitely remove impurities and filter small particles in the air. If you choose to buy a HEPA filter, and they are expensive because they are very, the good ones will be expensive because they're effective. Think about the size of the room that you will be using it in. So for example, if you want it to be used in your child's bedroom, measure out the size of the room and get a filter that covers the square meters or square feet size of that room. Okay, and probably, if you're on a budget and you can't get a HEPA filter for every room, think about the room that, say, probably the overnight room would probably be the best. So whichever bedroom, whoever in your family has health or lung problems, that's the room you want to have a filter in, a HEPA filter in. With regards to air quality in your house, you do want to sort of think about your household products, because your household products, so cleaning products, for example, they give off gases, they give off chemicals. And if you can use eco-friendly and natural products to reduce the amount of chemicals that are floating around in the air or on surfaces that you will eventually touch. Now, sometimes you don't really need all these sort of chemical products to clean the house. I mean, bathroom is probably one you would want to do use antibacterial, slightly stronger cleaning products. But really, generally, you don't need to spray surfaces unless. Yeah, generally, you don't really need to spray surfaces. What you can do is what we call damp dusting. So you get a damp cloth, and you get just wipe surfaces clean and let them dry, because the dust itself contains chemicals and catches chemicals and toxins. So that's one easy way of keeping the household clean on a regular basis and reducing the dust particles and the toxin particles in your house. Vacuuming regularly is also really important if you have a lot of carpeting, because carpet fibers do really catch a lot of dirt and toxins. And then as you walk, you disturb that, it all goes up in the air and you gets breathed in. So regular vacuuming if you have carpeting. Now, in terms of nutrients, these are things you want to add in. Okay, so you want to add in food mostly, and supplements as an extra. So in terms of food, have a food first approach, because not only does our food give us nutrients, our food also feeds our microbiome. So the food that we eat keeps our gut healthy, and 70% of our immune system is actually in our gut. So if your gut is healthy, your immune system is likely to be more healthy. So the food that we eat, if we have more, if we have healthier foods with lots of fiber, they form the food for the microbes, so called the food that we eat, the fiber, that's called prebiotics, and the bacteria in our gut, that's the probiotics. Okay, so try and eat real unprocessed food. So if you know, processed food is part of our lives, that's the reality of it. But can you reduce the amount of unprocessed food, processed food that you are eating, that you're giving to your family? Because the processed stuff, it kind of encourages bad microbes, and the good gut microbes, they don't like that stuff. They like more like fiber and plant-based food, whereas the unhealthy microbes, they prefer the more processed food with the processed oils and things like that. Eating the rainbow is one way, and this is something quite fun, and I do make sure that it helps with my kids, sort of getting them to eat their vegetables. I try and get a combination of different colored vegetables, and when we have fruits, we have lots of different types of fruits, so that when we talk about colors and how important it is to eat the rainbow. And in terms of why it's important, it's because basically each color is created by a different polyphenol, and a polyphenol is a small chemical compound within plants. And we have discovered that polyphenols are actually, they're different from vitamins, but they're like a component similar to vitamins, and they actually can really help our health. And this is something that's actually got quite a lot of research going on now about the different types of polyphenols. One of the most famous types of polyphenols comes from green tea, and that's why the green tea is meant to be particularly good, because one of the benefits of the polyphenols from green tea is that they're antioxidants, and that helps our immune system stay strong, helps us, it's kind of anti-aging as well. Reducing our sugar and simple carbohydrates is also really, really important, because there has been research to show that when you have simple sugars, so things like processed sugar, honey, I'm thinking things like maple syrup, they actually then reduce your white blood cells for a certain amount of time, for about, I think it's like 3 or 4 hours after consuming that. Or having like fruit juice, like a whole cup of fruit juice, will spike your sugar levels, and then it also seems to decrease your white blood cells for a certain period of time immediately after that consumption. So that's something to think about, is reducing the amount of sugar. So fruits are great, but really try and eat more vegetables rather than fruits. Put the focus on vegetables, because fruits contain a lot of sugar. Now, simple carbohydrates, things like pasta, white rice, potatoes, um, they are not great because they break down into simple sugars. So simple carbohydrates are basically complex sugars, which are then broken down into simple sugars. So then you have the same problem as if you ate, if you drank a whole glass of lemonade or fruit juice. Now, in terms of extra support in supplements, you can take vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C. Zinc is also something that's commonly missing in a lot of our diets. And probiotics can be very helpful, as I said earlier, about the importance of keeping our microbiome healthy, our gut microbiome healthy. So having probiotics, if you're not already having that, you can either have it in the form of these, powder supplements or capsules, but also you can have it in the form of fermented food. So sauerkraut is something that I honestly can admit that I never used to like, but over time I've gotten used to it, and it's just part of my diet now. Like 1 tablespoonful of probiotics with lunch and dinner. And I know it helps me keep my gut healthy, keeps my bowels regular, and that's really, really important. Um, with my kids, what I found helpful is that I'll give them a tiny bit of sauerkraut, and then I grate some apple and mix it with the sauerkraut, and they can manage that. They find that sort of not. They'll be like, yeah, that's this is all right. This is all right. It's not like yummy, yummy, but it's all right. But if I just try to give them a spoonful of sauerkraut, they'll be like, ugh, yuck, no way. But if you just sort of grate in a little bit of pear, a little bit of apple, mix it up, and then sort of add it in with a bit of salad or something, they usually my kids have kind of coped well with that. That's how I get them to have a little bit of sauerkraut. Now, elderberry juice or elderberry concentrate has got a lot of research to show it's actually beneficial for the immune system. So just something to think about. These are quite easy supplements to find in most health food shops and even pharmacies. Sleep is so important, so important. And I know how many parents struggle with sleep. So if you're one of them, just realize, don't worry too much. Things are, you just have to deal with what you have to deal with at night, and that's just how it is. But if you can't get the sort of uninterrupted sleep regularly, this is what you need to do to get good quality sleep in between these interruptions. Now, it sounds strange, but if you're thinking about sleep, actually, you need to start with morning light. So as soon as you wake up, when it's your normal time to wake up, open all those curtains, open all those blinds. If you can, step out onto your balcony, step out into your garden, even for just like 5 minutes, get some natural light into your eyes, and this will help set your circadian rhythm. So this is really hard when the mornings are darker. So it's, as soon as you can, as soon as it starts getting light, when you get natural sunlight, try and get out, get those kids out, because they need it too in order for them to be able to then be able to sleep better at night. So that natural light is much more important than having bright lights indoors, because the bright lights indoors are at different light frequencies than the light you get from sunlight. Even on a cloudy day, you get high levels of red, yellows, oranges lights and blue lights outdoors from sunlight than you would from bright lights in the house. And the important thing about sleep is that people who are sleep deprived, and there's so much research on this, when they're sleep deprived, cortisol levels go up, white blood cells go down, they are more likely to catch colds, and there's a lot of research to show this. So improving your quality of sleep is going to be really, really important to keep your immune system healthy. Later on in the day, thinking about sort of restricting blue light, and blue light is what comes from our devices, our mobile phones, our laptops, iPads, TVs. TV is not such a big deal because you tend to be a lot further away from the TV, but still, if you watch a lot of TV at night before you go to bed, you might want to think about switching off TV 1 hour before you go to bed. One of the things I do to reduce blue light exposure is to wear these blue light blocking glasses, because there are times that I have to be on the laptop in the evening for work after the kids have gone to bed. And so what I do is I use blue light blocking glasses. That can help as well. I mean, for me, it's made a big difference. Some people, you just need to try, just buy a pair and see if you remember to wear them, wear them like 1-2 hours before you go to bed. You still want to dim the lights and try and keep the lights low and try and stay away from screens. But if you have to use screens before you go to bed, and within the hour before going to bed, then definitely try blue light blocking lights, because blue light blocking glasses, so that your brain isn't kind of woken up by the blue light, which normally you get from sunlight, daytime light. Epsom salts baths are also very relaxing. There's magnesium in them, magnesium that gets absorbed in through your skin, and magnesium is the mineral of relaxation. So a lot of people do like having baths at night. If you do have a bath, put some Epsom salts in the bath water. That really helps. Baths are also really good. I mean, baths and showers generally are good because they heat your body up, and then when you step out of the bath or the shower and you kind of feel the cold, then your body temperature starts to go down again. That sort of signals your body that and your brain that it's sleep time, because when there's a drop in temperature, that's one of the signals to the circadian rhythm that it's approaching bedtime. It's like sleep time to sleep. You can use essential oils to help you sleep better, get better quality sleep. And you can do some breathing exercises either in bed, or not necessarily in bed, but before you get into bed. So some nice calming breathing exercises to reduce the sympathetic nervous system, and to sort of have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is more the relax and rest and digest nervous system, so that you can fall asleep and stay asleep better. It's sometimes people go to bed very tired, but kind of wired and tired, because you may have had a very stressful evening. Your child just woke up and needed your attention just before you were yourself going to go into bed. Sometimes you feel so tired that it just feels like you just want to collapse in bed and you don't want to do anything like breathing exercise or do any gratitude meditation. But the problem then is you're physically tired, but because the sympathetic nervous system is active, it becomes hard to relax and fall asleep and get good quality sleep. So things like breathing exercises, doing some gratitude, doing some meditation actually help to calm down that sympathetic nervous system and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, so you get good quality restful sleep. And all of that's going to help your immune system improve. And if you can't get good quality sleep every single night, what I would suggest is, if you're feeling particularly run down, if you feel like you're coming down with a cold, that's the night you want to go to bed early. You want to do all these things so they get good quality sleep. That's the night you call in your mother-in-law, your mum, your husband, the extra carer that you have to help overnight, so that night you can get good sleep, and hopefully you won't then get really ill with whatever bug you've come down with. And finally, the other thing to add in to improve your immunity, and also immunity of everyone else in your house, is get active. So I've put it under the term exercise, but actually you don't have to think about exercise. Some people have very negative ideas about exercise, or a negative experience with exercise being exhausting, hard work, difficult. But if you think about just being more active, and the reason for this is that the more active you are, and for me, I do this a lot with children, and with the children I work with, it's so important, because it gets your blood circulation going, which helps with the detoxification system. The other thing is, as your blood pumps faster around your body, what's in your blood are things like the immune cells. And as they're pumping around the body, these immune cells are kind of looking out for germs and looking out for toxins, and so the more that the immune cells are moving around your body, they're doing a surveillance and trying to sort of find these germs and toxins that they need to attack and deal with. So that's one way that exercise and being active helps with your immune system. The other thing is, you have the lymphatic drainage system, so the lymph nodes and the lymph system, and that helps a lot with removing toxins. The other thing is, as you push yourself and work a little bit harder, and your breathing rate goes up and you start to sweat, these are all natural forms of detoxification. So breathing faster gets rid of more gaseous toxins, and sweating gets rid of more water-based or aqueous toxins. You can do So this is what research has shown. So the ones that improve immunity best is doing high intensity interval training 3 times a week. So that's, you could do 10 minutes of high intensity interval training. If you do it 3 times a week, that has been shown to have a beneficial effect on your improving your immune system. Or 20 minutes of moderate activity every day. And moderate activity could be like walking, but at a slightly faster rate than normal. So you can still have a conversation with someone, but you have to stop every so often to take a few breaths, and then you continue. Okay, so you're not necessarily sweating with moderate activity, but you're working harder, and you can just about feel your heart rate go up and your breathing rate go up, but you're not sort of struggling to breathe or talk as you're doing it. High intensity interval training is actually different. You're actually working really, really, really hard, so hard that your heart rate's going up. You wouldn't be able to talk. You're just pushing yourself, and then you're having a rest. And then you do it again. You really push yourself, and then you have a rest. So have a think about which activities suit you and suit your family, and see if you can kind of get the kids involved as well. And the other form of exercise that's really important is breathing exercises, because breathing helps you improve your inspiratory reserve. That means how much air can fill your lungs. When we're stressed, when we're tired, we tend to breathe with the upper part of our lungs, and we don't do deep breathing. So the very bottom of your lungs, they go quite low. They actually kind of go quite near your waist, really. And that part, there's lots of small alveoli, these little sacs that should fill up with air, but will only fill up with air when you take deep breaths. If you're breathing shallow breaths and most of the air is coming from the top half of your lungs, going in and out of the top half of your lungs, it means that the bottom of your lungs are more likely to remain closed. It also means if you get a chest infection, or if anybody else in your family gets a chest infection, that they're likely to get a lot of phlegm and germs stuck in the edges of the chest, the very ends, the bottom of your lungs. And that's where you can get collapsed lungs, you can get pneumonia. And this is why deep breathing is really important, to open up all the airways right at the very ends of your lungs. And so if there's any germs or phlegm there, as you open it up and as you breathe out, the air, as it's getting pushed out from the bottoms of your lungs, pushes the phlegm up, and the phlegm is there to kind of, the mucus and the phlegm is there to catch the germs, and then it's supposed to be pushed up as you breathe out. So this is why doing deep breathing is really important for keeping you healthy. Okay, so you can look up on YouTube. There's lots of exercises for belly breathing, square breathing, and alternate nostril breathing. These are different breathing techniques that will help to improve the aeration in your lungs. I've used an app called Stop Breathe Think Kids, which is fun short little videos that help my kids sort of focus on breathing and kind of simple meditation, I guess. And that's something you may want to find for your kids if they're sort of motivated by apps and games and YouTube. To be honest, how many kids aren't really? Okay. And when it comes to, starting a new healthy habit, now I've given you lots of information of things that you can be adding into your life or getting rid of. It can feel a bit overwhelming. My suggestion is start with what feels doable. Start with something that's easy. What do you think in your busy life? What's doable? What do you think? Oh yeah, I could do that. If you feel like something like, for example, doing 3 times a week of high intensity interval training is, you dread the thought that, oh, there's no way. When am I going to do that? When am I going to have time? Oh no, I have to go to the gym. Then you don't want to start something like that. But if you think, okay, so maybe, on your walk, if you're walking your child to school, can I make a little bit of a game, and we're going to just do a little bit of a sprint between this bus stop and the next bus stop, just to kind of just work your energy, work your body a little bit harder. Maybe you could buy 2 types of fruits that are organic if you feel like you can't go completely organic with all your fruits and vegetables. So start with something that feels doable, that's easy, it's not going to feel overwhelming, but do it regularly. You need to take small, steady steps on a regular basis. And finally, I just put this under healthy habits, but it's really important to talk to your children and about germs and sickness, and not to make being sick feel like a bit of a disaster, like, oh no, we really must stop. It's like, oh, it's sort of catastrophizing about sickness increases stress levels, and then that ironically will decrease your immune system, and then that means you're more likely to get sick. So talk to children in a simple way, in ways, in a level that they can understand, that germs are part of life. Being sick is not always it's not always serious. You can get a mild sickness, and when you do feel ill, some of it is coming from the germs, but some of the illness, feeling unwell, feeling poorly, and all this phlegm that comes out and snot, um, that actually is not the germs. It's actually your body fighting the germs. So you may have a fever. That's okay. The fever is your body's reaction. It's your body fighting the germs. Your body is great. Your body has things in it that can fight the germs. You have soldiers in your body, in your blood, that can fight the germs. And sometimes you need to rest so that your soldiers can fight the germs. Sometimes you need to take some medicine because the medicine provides us extra soldiers to help fight the germs. So so think about how you talk about illness in front of your children, amongst yourself, you and your partner. If you're sort of very worried and see becoming ill and germs as very negative, it kind of gives them the impression that it's really negative thing to get ill, but actually getting ill is part of life, and it's not out of your control. You can actually do things to kind of get better. Your body is amazing. It has so many systems in it to help you fight the germs and feel better. So I'm going to end here. Great. And I'm just going to pause the recording now.